Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park was screened at my local cinema recently to celebrate its 30th anniversary, and I have to say it holds the fuck up. It's not exactly breaking news or some kind of spicy hot take to say that Jurassic Park is an incredible movie, or that it still holds up today, but I want to do a bit of a deep dive to figure out exactly why it's so great and why it's still just as great today as it was 30 years ago. Jurassic Park is a perfect example of crowd-pleasing blockbuster entertainment. It achieves the blend of jaw-dropping spectacle and genuine heart that every big tentpole movie since has tried to emulate, and most have failed miserably. Jurassic Park is a million times more engaging and awe-inspiring than most of the big-budget movies that have come out this summer. It provides plenty of edge-of-your-seat excitement, which isn't to be scoffed at, but it also makes you think. It digs deep into the ethics of a theme park full of dinosaur clones, and the broader ethics of fucking with the natural order. And it also makes you feel. The whole arc of Alan Grant hating kids and then slowly being endeared to Tim and Lex and becoming a sort of father figure to them will melt your heart. It's beautiful.
What do you call a blind dinosaur?
I don't know. What do you call a blind dinosaur?
Do you think he saw us?
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Oh, in the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
Jurassic Park is a classic Frankenstein story. Besides Frankenstein itself, it might be the ultimate Frankenstein story. A mad scientist with delusions of grandeur decides to play God and faces catastrophic repercussions. Mary Shelley practically invented science fiction with Frankenstein, and its themes just keep getting more and more relevant as new technologies are invented and clever lunatics recklessly wield their power like a kid who found their dad's gun.
Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
Not only is Jurassic Park a really pointed examination of those themes, it also puts the most visually exciting spin possible on the Frankenstein story. Michael Crichton cooked up a hell of a blockbuster premise, a theme park full of resurrected dinosaurs running wild. John Hammond doesn't just bring one guy made of dead body parts to life, he brings packs of prehistoric killers to life en masse. Crichton pushes the Frankenstein themes through a dark, twisted satire on the Disneyland business model that puts a dollar sign on people's happiness. That kind of glorified consumerism has gotten even more out of hand in the past 30 years. There's a great moment where Ian Malcolm criticizes John for taking this dangerous technological innovation that he didn't question for a second and instantly plastering it all over sweatshirts and lunchboxes to turn a profit.
You patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
that greedy corporate mindset continues to corrupt the world to this day.
Creation is an act of sheer will. Next time it'll be flawless.
It's still the flea circus. It's all an illusion.
When we have control again.
You've never had control. That's the illusion.
Jurassic Park is a rare blockbuster where the quieter dialogue scenes are just as captivating as the action set pieces. Ellie talking some sense into Hammond over a bowl of ice cream is just as compelling as the Raptors hunting Muldoon.
Clever girl.
Jurassic Park even has a fun way to deliver the necessary exposition, which is usually what drags these kinds of movies down. The seeds are planted in conversations between Hammond and the scientists, but the bulk of it is covered by Mr. DNA, an adorable little animated character who dumbs down all the science to a comical degree. Modern blockbusters take plenty of cues from Jurassic Park, but creative exposition is one they could really learn from. I've always greatly admired John Williams' Jurassic Park score. I think it's one of his best scores, but I didn't fully appreciate just how moving and breathtaking the music is until I heard it booming out of the cinema speakers. That theme sends chills up your spine every time it plays. I got goosebumps when Williams would play certain notes or melodies. Obviously nostalgia is a big part of that. The music is bringing me back to countless childhood viewings of the film, as it does with anyone who was born in the 90s. But it has this sweeping, operatic quality that truly transports you to another world.
Jurassic Park was the first movie that ever made its main characters, where the entire success or failure of the story was dependent on these digital characters. That was the first time that was ever done, and that was the risk I think all of us took.
The CGI effects pioneered by Jurassic Park continue to dominate the blockbuster landscape to this day, but it's gotten way out of hand. Spielberg didn't use CGI as a crutch like today's blockbuster filmmakers do. Jurassic Park has 63 VFX shots. By comparison, Avengers Endgame has 2,500 VFX shots. Like fellow trailblazer Terminator 2, Jurassic Park uses its groundbreaking CGI as little as possible. Like James Cameron, Spielberg used these brand new visual effects to create things that couldn't be achieved practically. For Cameron, that meant a Terminator morphing into the shape of another person via liquid metal. For Spielberg, it meant a T-Rex running out of the woods to pick a Gallimimus out of a stampeding herd. Everything Cameron could do for real, he did for real. He flew a helicopter under a bridge, he jumped a motorcycle into the LA River, and he blew up a shitload of stuff. Similarly, everything Spielberg could do for real, he did for real. If Stan Winston could achieve it with animatronics, the CGI went out the window. As a result, the effects have aged remarkably well. You go back and watch the 1978 Superman today and you don't believe a man can fly. But you watch Jurassic Park today and you do believe dinosaurs walk the earth, at least in the context of the film. The CGI basically gave Spielberg the freedom to show however much of the dinosaurs he wanted to show, however frequently he wanted them to appear in the movie. Back in the early 70s when he was making Jaws, technological limitations forced Spielberg to minimize the shark's on-screen appearances, which ended up being more effective than if he'd showed the shark in every scene because it leaves a lot to the audience's imagination. And in Jurassic Park, with the freedom he wasn't afforded on Jaws, Spielberg finds the perfect middle ground between showing the dinosaurs in all their glory and not overdoing it to the point where the audience becomes desensitized. He doesn't show you the velociraptors at first, he just shows the damage they did to not only the live cow that was fed to them, but the harness it was lowered in on. That builds to the raptors showing up on screen all over the final act, where they live up to that terrifying tease. They're every bit the ruthless, tactical killing machines we'd been prepared for. The best lesson that Spielberg learned from Jaws that he applied to Jurassic Park was the cinematic magic trick of bringing Hitchcockian tension to a creature feature. Spielberg uses tension masterfully throughout this movie, and it's a big part of what keeps the audience engaged. In one particularly tense sequence, he cuts back and forth between Ellie putting the power back on and Alan, Lex, and Tim climbing over the electrified fence. While they're still climbing, the fence is reactivated and suddenly it's a race against time. Two scenes in particular are a masterclass in tension. The T-Rex escaping from its paddock, and the Velociraptors chasing Lex and Tim around the kitchen. The T-Rex escape sequence is perfectly paced. It takes its time with a really long build-up to a really satisfying payoff. The booming footsteps get louder and louder, the characters realize something truly monstrous is on its way, they notice the goat is gone, and suddenly its severed leg slams down on the sunroof. And then the T-Rex is gradually revealed, first shot through a window covered in rain, then panning up to show the fearsome dinosaur in all its grandeur as it polishes off the rest of the goat. It might not make perfect sense for there to be a cup of water on the dashboard of a car, but that rippling water announcing the T-Rex's arrival is beautifully cinematic. This scene is full of great little details, like Tim closing the door and the dinosaur immediately turning its head. It's set at nighttime in the pouring rain with thunder and lightning in the sky, which is extremely effective. Imagine how much less impactful this scene would be if it was set in broad daylight. The kitchen sequence has a morbidly hilarious setup. Alan asks Ellie if the Velociraptors have been contained and she says, yeah, unless they figure out how to open doors. Cut to, a raptor is figuring out how to open a door. The stakes seem even higher in this scene because the characters in danger are kids. When someone like Muldoon or the blood-sucking lawyer gets killed, you don't really care whether they die. But if anyone dies in this scene, it's going to be a child, so you just instinctively care more. Spielberg makes brilliant use of the shiny reflective surfaces in the kitchen, especially when Lex is hiding in a cupboard and desperately trying to shut it as the raptor approaches, and just when it seems like the raptor has caught her, it just bangs its head on a different cupboard door reflecting her image. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. The whole thing builds to a nail-biting conclusion. Tim has the bright idea to lock the raptor in the freezer, but to do that he has to limp there on his fucked up leg, and the raptor spots him immediately. I love this choice of camera angle. Tim's tiny, slow-moving legs are framed within the raptor's massive, fast-moving legs. There are so many great shots in this movie. I love this shot of a raptor with genetic code projected all over it. I love the way the camera swoops under the electric fence as Alan, Lex, and Tim climb over the top of it. And of course there's the classic objects in mirror may be closer than they appear moment. There's a shot where Ian Malcolm hears the T-Rex stomping towards them. He looks down at a puddle in the T-Rex's footprint. The camera pans down, frames the reflection of Ian's face in the puddle, and then on another stomp the puddle ripples and the focus switches to Ian's reaction. My hat goes off to Dean Cundy, the cinematographer. He uses the camera angles and movements to keep you fixated on the screen every step of the way. You know how if you're flipping through channels and Jurassic Park is on, you end up watching it to the end every time? It's because of this motherfucker doing his magic to keep your attention. I think I've said it on this channel before, but every big movie like this needs an explosive, climactic, blowing up the Death Star type moment, and Jurassic Park has a great one. It technically doesn't make sense, you know, how did the T-Rex get inside? But that doesn't matter because it's so exhilarating that you just go along with it. This climactic scene provides eye-popping spectacle that also manages to sum up the themes of the story. All the monsters coming to get the humans end up just fighting each other. In other words, life finds a way, you know, nature sorts itself out. And that last shot where the T-Rex lets out a big roar right as the "When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth" banner sails past it is just mwah, chef's kiss.
Cut, print, great take.
If you need any proof that Spielberg is a true master, just consider that he made this rollicking, timeless dinosaur movie within the same year that he made Schindler's List. And sadly, Jurassic Park's message that doing unethical things for profit is a bad idea is still just as timely as Schindler's List's message that Nazism is bad and Jews are awesome.
There's such a reality to it that's why I got really interested in this, because I said, God, science and adventure just come smashing together, and now it's based on what is probably going to happen someday.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.